What's going on YouTube? So 2020 is a big year for new and updated Audi vehicles, particularly their performance vehicles in the S and RS lineups. And now here we are standing next to one of the first such vehicles to arrive at dealerships, the refreshed Audi S5. It's always been known as a beautiful vehicle, but what we're here to find out today is if the performance can match the looks. So of course, like always, getting started with the exterior design. Up here in the front, this is where you're going to notice the biggest changes for the 2020 model year. So what you have is basically the updated grille design that kind of debuted in the A4 for that entire family of vehicles. But here on the S models, it does have a special finish. So now instead of having the bars like you used to have, you have this honeycomb design with little silver accents. I happen to like this design a whole lot more than that design. Definitely looks a lot more sporty. And this lower area has also been redesigned again to be more aggressive. Now coming over here to your headlights, you will find the Matrix LED headlights standard across every single S5. However, when you go for the Prestige model, you get the laser light abilities as well as the fancy upgraded animations. Now checking out the wheels here, this has got to be one of my favorite elements of this S5's design, and that's because we have the largest and absolutely gorgeous wheel option. This is the 20-inch titanium finished alloys. Now standard on all three trim levels is going to be a much less eye-catching design. It's 18 inches, and you can also get a 19-inch alloy as kind of the in-between option. And of course, as you would expect for an S model, the brakes have been upgraded to 6-piston, 13.8-inch ventilated disc in the front and 13-inch ones in the rear. Plus you can get red brake calipers when you select the S Sport package like this one here has. Now moving on up here, of course, we've got our S branding. Also here on the S5, you have the kind of matte finish on the mirrors. On the Premium Plus and above, as far as the actual functionality, that's going to be heating, auto dimming, power folding, and blind spot monitoring.
Alrighty, so walking around to the back of this S5 Cabriolet, my oh my, it does look so good. I have to say, in person, this is a really good looking vehicle. That said, it doesn't have as many changes as you see in the front for this 2020 refresh. So all you're gonna see that's different is this taillight design. It's a different design, it's still fully LED, and on this Prestige model we do have the animation. And then down here at the bottom, we do have the signature silver diffuser, as well as quad exhaust outlets, and that exhaust system sounds absolutely fantastic. Now this Audi S5 does come with a pretty decent level of safety equipment standard, since it does have forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection. Now if you want those higher end safety systems, you're going to have to go for this Prestige model or option them onto the Premium Plus, and that will include adaptive cruise control with Audi's traffic jam assistant and lane keeping assist. Well anyway guys, that sums up this absolutely gorgeous exterior of this S5, so let's go ahead and hop inside before we take it out on a spin.
So on the S5, you will find a smart entry system on the vast majority of the trim levels, though it is not standard if you choose the very base premium trim. And then of course, to get inside the vehicle itself, all you have to do is reach behind the handle. Alright, now taking a first look inside of the cabin. As you can tell, it is mostly the same, but it does have a lot of the same enhancements that the Audi A4 received. Now, as far as your different interior material and color options, the Cabriolet version of the S5 actually does come standard with the fine Nappa leather seating, so that's definitely a nice touch. And you have the color options of black, rotor gray, or a really cool magma red option. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is very nicely finished. So long as you choose at least the Premium Plus, the armrest will be covered in a leatherette with the color contrast stitching. All this middle area is an Alcantara. And then we also have the optional carbon fiber inlays for $500. Of course, you do have 2-person memory seating, and all 4 of your windows are one-touch automatic. Now, one of the nice things about the S5 lineup is that you have 12-way power adjusting seats, which even include massaging abilities as well as manual thigh extension, and that's standard across all the models, so that's really nice to see. And then, like I was saying, we have the fine Nappa leather, and I absolutely adore these seats. These are some of the finest seats in the entire auto industry, really. Really large bolsters, a beautiful quilted design, and really soft and supple leather. And when you get in, you are handed the seat belt so you don't have to reach back. Now, of course, in typical Audi fashion, you do have a lovely interior, both in terms of the design as well as the materials. So across the upper dash here, this is all a soft touch plastic. Dropping down here to the middle, we have more of this carbon fiber trim. That same carbon fiber does continue down here as well. Additionally, all of this area, which used to be a matte plastic, has now been replaced with a piano black trim here for the 2020 model year, and you will also find a leatherette with the color contrast stitching going along the center tunnel. Now, to start up the S5, look for the red accented button. And after startup here, the first thing you're going to see is, of course, Audi's virtual cockpit system. It's actually not standard. It does come on just the Premium Plus and the Prestige level models. But this is version 2.0. And if you're familiar with the previous version, this actually has a pretty substantially different design. We have some new graphics, as well as kind of a more performance-oriented layout. And then coming up from that, is a little difficult to see, but we also have a head-up display. This is standard on the Prestige. Now, coming back here, we have the latest S design steering wheel. Of course, it is flat bottom. It is also kind of squared off on the sides with a really nice perforated leather. As far as the steering wheel itself, it is manual tilt and telescoping, and heating is available as an option. Alright, and now let's go ahead and talk about interior storage. So I'll start out underneath our center console. Now, it is relatively small. As you can see, it's mostly just a wireless phone charger, which is standard on the Premium Plus and Prestige. And it can fit, looks like 3 sets of Burger King coupons, but they have to be folded in half. Up in front of that, we have another storage area. Now, this replaces where the previous MMI controller used to be. So this is new for 2020. And then we have 2 cup holders with ambient lighting and another little storage area up here in the front with your USB and 12-volt outlet. And then coming back here to the shifter, as you can see, the top of it is finished in that same perforated leather, just like the steering wheel. Of course, you pull back for drive. You can bump over here to the right to shift manually, or obviously, as an S model, you will have paddle shifters. Pressing up into reverse will reveal a standard backup camera on every model, parking sensors on the Premium Plus and above, and then here on the Prestige level, you'll get this really nice 360-degree camera system. Now, if you want to see some additional angles, you're going to press this button right here, and you can just cycle through various different perspectives to see what exactly is going on around your vehicle. And then right behind the shifter, you have your electronic parking brake. Now, as far as other things on the console, you will notice a volume knob. Now on this model, since we have pretty much all of the options, we have the 750 watt 20 speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system. So let's go ahead and take a sample of that. Overall, I have to say, sound quality of this system is excellent, as you would expect. Alright, so let's continue on. The next thing we come to is this row of buttons right here. The primary button is going to be your drive mode select. So when I exit out of that, you'll see several different drive modes. You have comfort, automatic, dynamic, and then you have an individual one where you can go through here and tailor each setting to whatever you like. You can also defeat your auto start stop system right there, turn on your automatic parking system and your parking sensors. And right above that, we have our climate controls. Now, one thing that's really unique about the A5 lineup as a whole is that you have 3-zone automatic climate controls as standard equipment. That's super rare, especially for a coupe. But like I said, you can adjust all 3 zones independently. You have very simple knobs, and you have these cool touch capacitive buttons which carry on from the previous model years. In addition to that, we have the standard 3-stage heated seats. You can also get seat ventilation if you go for the luxury package. And when you choose that, here on the Cabriolet, it will also throw in a heater which comes down right in here to heat up your neck so that you can use the convertible top even on cold weather days. Alright, so now that brings us here to probably the most noticeable change here for this 2020 S5, and that's going to be the brand new MMI system with a much larger display. This is 10.1 inches and it is now a touch display, and it replaces the previous 8 and 7-inch displays which were non-touch. Now this does have the latest MMI touch response software, so it operates a lot like a tablet. And as you can see, you can just scroll through different settings. You have your shortcut buttons down here along the side. Navigation is optional. However, you have standard Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on board for all of the trim levels. Moving on up from that, you will find a standard frameless auto-dimming mirror with a built-in compass. And then of course, this being the Cabriolet, you're obviously not going to have a moonroof, but if you were to choose the coupe version instead, that would come standard with a panoramic moonroof.
Now, of course, the rear seat is not going to be a focus for this S5 Cabrio. However, I do want to get back here since you might want to take a few of your friends along for a drive. So in order to get back here, all you have to do is locate this little strap here, pull it forward, and then the seat will fold forward, and then you just use this button here to slide it forward. Now, getting back here, obviously with the top down, it's not much of an issue, but sliding the seat back into place, I will show you what it's like. As far as the actual space is concerned, this actually is going to have quite a bit more space than you will see in like stuff like a Ford Mustang or something like that. It's coming in at 32 inches of rear legroom and 36 inches of rear headroom, which is actually pretty decent for an adult. And as far as the features are concerned, we do also have rear vents here in the back, as well as our own climate controls, which is pretty much something I've never seen on a coupe or cabriolet model. We have cup holders in the center, as well as a 12-volt power outlet. And these seats are absolutely lovely. And we also have an armrest with Alcantara and real carbon fiber trim. So this is definitely one of the most luxurious back seats in a coupe or cabriolet I've ever been in. Now, walking up to the trunk, all you have to do to open is locate the button under the lid. And it does open. It's pretty much fully dampened. And once inside of this cabriolet model, you are going to find a little bit less space than you would in the coupe. It comes in at 9.6 cubic feet of space for this cabriolet, or 11.6 cubic feet if you go for that coupe model, which is roughly in line with most of its competitive set. And it's really not too bad of amount of space, and we even have the top down right now. Alright, so over here at the passenger seat, you're going to have the same adjustments as the driver's. It does still have massaging here on the passenger seat. I'm getting a massage right now. And you also have the manual thigh extension. Now, in front of your passenger seat, you do have a really good sized glove box. It opens quite wide and has plenty of space for Burger King coupons. And up top, we do have a small sun visor with an LED light and mirror, and it does detach, however, it does not extend. Wow.
Nice.
I like it.
Yeah, so, you know, we've been in some S products before, but this engine, always impressive, that's for sure. So here in the S5, this is one aspect that has not changed for the refresh, and that's a good thing. So we're still looking at the same 3-liter turbo V6 engine. The power is down by 5 for some reason. I'm not sure
Audi
exactly.
changes their ratings pretty frequently.
I mean, it doesn't really mean
it's
anything.
It's not changed from last year.
Usually they kind of underestimate their engines anyways. But now the official rating is going to be 349 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque.
And, you know, that is definitely good to get you up and moving pretty darn fast. If you're looking for the 0 to 60, it's going to be 4.4 seconds for the coupe model. And then if you go for the cabriolet, like what we have here, that's going to be 4.8 seconds.
Yeah, really plenty of power. You know, it comes on strong, even well underway. You know, as soon as you kick down, it really just surges forward.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that I do want to kind of point out here is that we were actually in the BMW Inline 6, which kind of competes with this type of engine. So we can kind of compare and contrast here. I think the sound is a little bit less in your face as compared to that BMW i6 engine. That said, we are in the automatic mode right now. And then as far as like the power, it seems pretty much equivalent. And before we do get out to the country road that we're looking forward to testing this S5 on, we might as well go ahead and talk about one of the big things about this S5 Cabriolet is, you know, its ride quality and how it's going to behave on the day-to-day. You know, a lot of you guys, when you're going to drop the 80K for a S5 Cabriolet, you want it to be a Grand Tourer. You don't want it to just be, you know, sporty and nothing else. And I'm very pleased to tell you that, I mean, right now, listen. Like, there's almost no noise in here at all. And this is a convertible. That's actually worse than the coupe model. And then as far as the suspension is concerned, absolutely incredibly smooth suspension. This particular tester has the adaptive suspension since we have the S Sport package. And I'm not sure how much of that, you know, contributes to the luxury feel, but I know that in this particular tester, it is really, really good inside of this cabin. That's some good stuff right there.
It really is.
It's medicine for the soul.
I really like the sound of the exhaust.
Yeah.
And we haven't even got to dynamic mode yet. Now seems like a good time to kick it into dynamic mode.
Why not?
You can hear the exhaust really deep in as soon as you do that, just straight from an
like
idle.
the baffles just open right up. Wow. You know, you gotta love the sound.
I love it. Yeah, it sounds fantastic.
And just the thing about it is that, you know, these German vehicles in this segment, just they're loud and nice, but they're not obnoxious about it. Like, it's classy still. Like, it's not droning in my ears and getting on my nerves. It's just like just what I want. and nothing, you know, that I don't want.
Let's talk a bit about the dynamics. As you'd expect, this is this vehicle is pretty dialed in, being the S5 and all, and I really don't sense that things have been softened up or anything just because this is a cabriolet. Definitely has a really nice and tight button down feel. Now this specific example has the dynamic steering setup, and I have to say I'm very impressed by this. A lot of times, when I hear like some type of weird steering option, I'm thinking, is this really something necessary, or is this just one of those things that makes some digital aspect that doesn't need to happen? But I actually really like this steering setup. I think the last S4 that we reviewed did not have this, and the steering in this S5 is better. It feels heavier. This is more like what I want it to feel. Very accurate, of course, and it responds with just the smallest, touch. You can just barely turn and you get that instant response. And I really feel confident taking it around these country roads here.
And some of that has to do with the suspension too. I can even feel this from the passenger seat, is that, when you switch it into dynamic mode, we do also have the adaptive suspension. So the suspension stiffens up. So even in this cabriolet version, as you go around these corners, I'm not sensing much body roll, and it feels very planted down to the ground.
Now it's overdue to talk about how excellent this transmission is. Guys, this is not even a dual clutch transmission. I know it's super weird, being that the regular A stuff has a 7-speed dual clutch.
Yeah.
But this is an 8-speed automatic, just a regular automatic. And the shifting on this is crazy fast.
Wow.
I mean, who would know that that wasn't a dual clutch? I mean, the second I touch the paddle shifter, it fires off a shift. And you have like the farts and the burbles and all the theatrics. It's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has that. It can get kind of high in the RPM range. It has just such a good sound. Oh, you gotta love it. Now I will come back to earth here and talk about the fuel economy. There is only one fuel economy rating for the S5 because it is standard and quattro all-wheel drive, of course, and that's going to be 19 city, 26 highway, 22 combined. Although realistically, I believe you will probably get worse than that rating if you don't have as much self-control as I do, because I'd be in manual mode at 5,000 RPM all the time. But that's pretty good fuel economy rating. That's pretty average for the Mercedes, competitive set like the Mercedes C43.
Now, we could just do this all day long and make like a 3.5-hour video.
Yeah.
But eventually, we've got to call it quits and conclude. So, as you can tell, there's a lot to like about this vehicle. I was a little, I don't know, concerned, skeptical, when I think of a convertible, I do think of something that's going to be a little bit more comfort oriented. It's not going to be as much fun, maybe a little softer, ride a little worse. Really, all those fears, they're gone now that I'm behind the wheel. Audi really, they designed this to be a cabriolet straight from the beginning. So dynamically speaking, the coupe and the cabriolet are going to be basically identical. You know, you're still getting the same experience here in the cabriolet, which is a wonderful experience.
Alrighty, so now let's go ahead and discuss the bad part about this car, the pricing. So if you want an S5 coupe, that's going to start quite a bit lower than the cabriolet like what we have here. So that's going to start at $51,900 for the premium, $54,400 premium plus, $60,300 for prestige. The cabriolet, on the other hand, starts at $60,200 for the premium, $62,700 premium plus, and then finally the prestige cabriolet, which is what we have here, at $68,600. Now, in addition to that, we do also have quite a few options on that. So we have the Daytona gray paint for $595, the S Sport package for $2,500, 20-inch wheels $1,600, dynamic steering $1,150, carbon Atlas inlays $500, beam rings $250, all-weather floor mats $200, and then $995 destination brings this one's total to a pretty eye-watering $76,390, which is definitely pretty expensive for an Audi S5. But I have to say, this is kind of like a baby R8. We were talking about this off camera. It just kind of looks a little bit like a baby R8. So, you know, it's definitely a lot cheaper than that, and you are getting some serious performance and some serious luxury here. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching this in-depth look at the 2020 Audi S5 Cabriolet Prestige. We really appreciate you watching, and if you made it this far in the video, hopefully that means you enjoyed watching. So be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.